Hegemony, noun, hegemony, preponderant influence or authority over others, domination, Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Human beings are some of the most intelligent, forward-thinking creatures on this planet. Using our intelligence, we have begun to transcend nature, in the sense that we are not bogged down by the same struggles that our ancestors were. Instead of struggling against the weather, we have created buildings and vehicles that can withstand tornadoes, hurricanes, and earthquakes. Instead of worrying about apex predators, such as big cats, we've developed weapons and technology where even a child could stop a hyperpredator dead, simply by pulling a trigger or pushing a button. If we want to grow more food, then all we have to do is edit a crop's gene to produce more. If we want drinking water, many of today's societies can find clean water readily flowing from a faucet in their home. By creating massive systems of technology, we humans have allowed ourselves to transcend many of nature's survival struggles that our species has toiled with since the dawn of time. This transcendence has been an explosive and recent one, as the past 100 years have amounted to exponentially more technological advances than all previous eons of humanity combined. Since, for the majority, our lives are not fraught with the struggles of basic survival in the natural world, many of us enjoy leisure time and luxuries of choice on many topics that were previously focal points of effort. Topics such as the choice of what to wear, what to eat, what to drink, where to live and how to live have turned into a question of not simply what, but instead what do we want. Instead of simply maintaining life, we are now able to choose the life and path we so desire, and by having much of the basic survival needs met already, this frees our hands and our minds from such worries, which means that we can focus our energy elsewhere. Many of the old survival necessities have been replaced by major systems that fulfill such survival needs. In today's society, many, if not all, of these systems are based on money, a man-made currency with a value that's standardized and respected across the world. While countries use different types of money, the concept stays true and the value of each can be weighed and exchanged against each other. We are able to trade our time and effort for money, then trade money for these survival resources. Thus, the need for survival is met without having to think twice. Many of these survival necessities are not cripplingly expensive, and therefore a vast majority of the populations in established communities are able to have sufficient funds left over after paying for them. We use this surplus money to build our lives and have the ability to pay for novelty and extracurricular items and experiences. With the ability to pay for novelty and extracurricular luxuries, humans have reached a point where society has transcended nature. We do not worry our minds with basic survival, so therefore we do not need to worry about survival in the natural world. I call this human centricism. Human centricism is a belief or paradigm that consciously and subconsciously pervades many humans on this planet. Since so many do not have to worry about the struggles of the natural world, many go their whole life without even considering it. Countless humans are worried about their business and the cost of goods on their pockets. They are not, however, worried about their business's impact on the surrounding nature or its taxes on the earth. Many humans worry about luxury and status, and are willing to pay money for this no matter what the tax on the natural world may be. This leads to many things, such as poachers hunting animals to extinction, farmers destroying entire forests to create land to farm upon, and fisheries culling the waters they fish within to maximize their profits per effort. If there are people willing to look past the cost on the planet and pay for these goods, no matter how detrimental, there is likely somebody who's willing to make $1 and follow through with the necessary act to provide such products. Though as humans we can find ourselves subconsciously lost in the human realm, this is not the only realm we live within. There is a much larger system of life on Earth that we are a part of, which will continue on with or without us, yet we cannot continue on without it. This greater system carries with it its own laws, natural laws. These are laws that maintain the status quo of all we know. We're talking about laws of physics, mathematics, and science. These laws that maintain the status quo will strive to achieve the status quo automatically, inside and outside of human pertinence. If a certain heat is applied to water, it will begin to boil. If you fall and scrape your knee, you will feel pain and begin to bleed, as long as your body is operating optimally. If you cut down trees, the Earth's lungs, the Earth will lose its ability to clean air as efficiently. The universal laws have forces which automatically act upon the matter in the universe to ensure that they adapt to the changing conditions, thus keeping everything within the status quo. Whether we like it or not, we are subject to these forces, as are our actions. These forces, which strive to maintain balance in the status quo, will be referred to as balancing forces. I'd like to briefly touch on an eon-old device that will help illustrate and explain some of the phenomena discussed in this book. A symbol that can be used to illustrate the ever-balancing nature of the universe is the Taoist symbol of the yin and yang. Though not meant to fully describe the phenomena present, I wish to quickly go over what this symbol means to better illustrate some concepts that will be presented in the following chapters. Depicting two opposing halves constantly moving in a state of flux, the yin and yang does a wonderful job of illustrating the push-pull, give-take nature of the universe. Despite artistic renditions which show a 50-50 ratio, along with common belief, the yin and yang are not an equal 50-50 ratio, therefore it is not fully balanced. Instead, the yin and yang are composed of unequal, ever-changing, ever-moving proportions. Sometimes there is more yin than yang, and vice versa, causing the symbol to be a majority of one over the other at all times. These unequal proportions are constantly flowing against each other, pushing and pulling in a state of flux, influenced by each other's movements. This illustration perfectly encapsulates the concept that nothing is ever stagnant, nor is anything ever entirely one pole or the other. All phenomena are composed of both. Sometimes individuals are too close to see the greater picture, blinding them from seeing the other side. But when zooming out, one can see the glimmers of the opposing side in the ripples of actions. In other words, sometimes from the perspective of yin, one may not be able to see the yang of the situation. However, this does not mean that the yang is not present and actively moving in response to the yin's action. This can be exaggerated with time. From wildfires come new life. From a single individual's experience, many things can seem entirely and ultimately yin or yang. But that does not mean that such a thing is only one or the other. The true nature of the universe, and thus that of every human being, is creative, productive, progressive, orderly and harmonious. Aberrant thinking and behavior, that is, thinking and behavior which deviate from the natural universal moral order of harmony, balance and productivity, will absolutely evoke a negative response from the corresponding universal energies, as surely as a shadow follows its form. Huaching Ni. At an animal sanctuary I once volunteered at, there were two ant holes running parallel to the gate of the main pasture. This resulted in a line of ants constantly walking across the path of anybody entering the main pasture, ultimately resulting in the destruction of the ants beneath the feet of those entering, especially as we wheeled wagons and drove utility vehicles through the gate. Underfoot, the ants would be destroyed as a result of our actions. Whether or not we knew the ants to be there, they would be destroyed. Whether or not we cared about the ants being there, they would be destroyed. I'm not calling upon any morality here or anything of the sort. I'm merely pointing towards the phenomena that the ants would be destroyed unconsciously by anyone's time at the sanctuary. Throughout this book, I will refer to the term underfoot to describe the position of one being beneath the metaphorical feet which we step. Whether or not we mean to, and whether or not the creatures can comprehend what's going on, does not matter. Our actions have reactions, which are sometimes experienced somewhere in this universe. Underfoot is purely metaphorical. It does not mean physically under a foot. Instead, it means receiving the consequence of an action that one passes on to another. Underfoot might mean the fish who suffocates on a plastic bag that was thrown into a stream. The fish perishes as a result of our action and at no fault of their own. Therefore, the fish is underfoot, our foot.